Last night's Fallout 76 presentation left me with more questions than answers. The source of all those questions comes from one reveal. It's the one we all knew was coming, but kinda hoped wasn't, but in our heart of hearts, we all knew it was. Fallout 76 is going to be an online game. Todd Howard followed the announcement with a series of qualifications. Online play will be limited to a few dozen players, this is an apocalypse after all, and the game will be fully playable offline. However, Jim Sterling has pointed out, and I'm inclined to agree with him, that he's always wary of announcements which need to be followed by a series of assurances. It makes me very worried that they kind of know this isn't what most people wanted out of a Fallout experience, but that they're committed to it now. So, what do I think of this newly announced game? Mixed is the short answer. It's a new Fallout game, so obviously I'm going to buy it. I've already dropped the cash on the Power Armor Edition pre-order. But I wanted to take the chance to talk about some of my preliminary thoughts on what the implication of this online element might be for the story and gameplay. Part 1. Story. Howard's presentation seemed to imply there was going to be a story. He talked about being given a quest by the Overseer which would take you through 6 distinct regions. In that regard, it sounded like a typical Fallout game. Like the original Fallout, you're sent out by the Overseer on a quest which rapidly expands into world-saving proportions. However, the online element changes everything. Last night's presentation did little to address my concerns about the quality and nature of the quests and storytelling. Point 1. Lack-Lustre intro. To understand what I'm talking about, we just need to cast our minds back to what we saw of Fallout 4 in 2015 Z3. We were actually given quite a substantial look at the introduction to the game's narrative. We were shown the player characters getting ready for the day, milling around their house, and we saw the entire character generation process. Fast forward to the game itself, and in that section, while small, it was stuffed with character and storytelling. What I'm getting at is that stuff happened. Compare that to what we saw in E3 this year, and we saw nothing at all. We didn't even see a single character. We saw some generic Mr. Handies, but we didn't see an actual character. We didn't even see any character generation. We didn't see much of anything at all. And that brings me on to my next point. Point 2. Characters. One of the things that Howard said in his presentation which worried me the most was his point that every character you encounter is a real person. So the question that brought to mind to me is, so there are no characters? Looking at the setting, what we were shown and what Howard said, it started to make me worry this game was going to have no characters in it. The other players you meet aren't characters in the sense of characters in a story. Presumably the decision to set it 25 years after the bombs was to give them an excuse not to include any characters. My takeaway from the presentation is that anyone you meet will be a human player who has come out of Vault 76 just like you. If there's a lack of characters, then I worry there'll be a lack of quests, and that this game could become a make-your-own fun game akin to Sea of Thieves, or dare I say it, No Man's Sky. The danger with any game like this, one of MMO elements, perhaps akin to Destiny, is that you won't feel special. In all the other main entry Fallout games, you've been a big hero, the one person who could save the wasteland, a legendary figure. It's going to be a lot harder for them to capture that when there are dozens more of you running around all doing the same thing. Point 3. Wasted setting. The lack of characters brings me on to point number 3, of a wasted setting. We've seen the potential lack of characters, and the problem that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You've only got to look at basically every single other Fallout game and see that not everyone made it into a vault, and not everyone who didn't make it into a vault was killed. All the characters in the other games aren't all descended from vault dwellers, and this point's especially more noticeable when you look at the relative lack of devastation in the area you're playing. So despite it being closer to the time of the bombs, there's somehow more greenery in this game, which would make me think was it not directly hit from the bombs, so there must be characters who weren't vault dwellers, so other characters, or other not, is my main question. It just seems like it doesn't add up. In his presentation, Howard said that the immediate aftermath of the bombs was a story they'd always wanted to tell. And my question here is, are they even telling a story? What I'd really like to see explored is what would it really be like to come out of a vault after 25 years to see the nuclear devastation. Fallout 4 also failed to capitalise on the concept of a pre-war person seeing the devastation, but 76 has an even bigger opportunity here. Unlike the sole survivor, the characters in Fallout 76 have been waiting for this moment for years. They were waiting there with the expectation that when they left, the fallout would have been cleared and they could rebuild, coming out of a vault to see the true devastation, to see their homes and the world they knew gone, and to see the characters who had lived outside the vault for the last 25 years interacting with the vault dwellers could have been really interesting and seriously shake up the narrative. The online component changes all of that. Every character seems to leave the vault in isolation. There was no chance to socialise with your fellow vault dwellers and feel the sense of excitement at leaving the vault. Instead, it's just going to be everyone jumping around and making emotes all the time. Part 2. Gameplay. Point 1. Player interactions. The interaction with other human players could demolish any sense of a coherent narrative or world. I can see exactly the vision Bethesda had for the game. You get a group of your friends together, you set out on an intrepid wasteland adventure, build yourself a home and develop it, gather power, feel like you're reclaiming the wasteland. However, anyone who's played an online game for more than a few minutes knows how this is going to turn out. As soon as I saw the characters doing emotes, I let out an audible sigh. You just know the kind of game this game's going to turn out to be. I can't quite articulate what I'm talking about here, but it's conjuring up images of a bunch of people running around, messing around, getting in your way, playing music through their headsets and doing stupid dances. The other players sound like they're going to be an incredible nuisance. I desperately hope there'll be a way to turn off the PvP, or that you'll be able to have private servers. Again, anyone who's played these games knows there's always some dickhead with all the best gear who will rock up and kill you and take your starter gear. And you can tell Bethesda knows this because they were keen to emphasise that you don't lose your character on death, which brings me back to my point about this being an announcement full of assurances. It's an example of how the online element will undermine the gameplay. If death has no consequence, then it seems this will completely undermine the threat of being in a post-nuclear hellscape. Point 2. Narrative dissonance. Before I start, I'm aware that stuff like this receives mockery when reviewers bring it up. The term ludonarrative dissonance is a watchword for people who want to sound smart, but in this case I think it's going to have a very profound effect. First thing comes back to those emotes. I'm quite worried about them messing around. It comes back to a point about the wasted setting. I'm just convinced if you came out into a nuclear wasteland and then you started doing some of the crazy shit I saw in the game, it might just sound like a nitpick, or that I hate fun, but how much would it take you out to be travelling through a ghoul-infested dungeon and then find someone doing a weird dance? Another point I wanted to make was the part of the presentation where they showed off nuclear weapons. When I first saw that section, I just said, what? A group of people billed as America's best and brightest leave the vault with a view to rebuild the United States, and they all rush off and start launching nuclear missiles willy-nilly. I can't imagine that if my country had been devastated by nuclear bombs, that I'd want to start launching more missiles. With the possible exception of Alistair Tenpenny, nuclear weapons have been feared and reviled in the Fallout universe because of the devastation they cause, even among villains. I just find it hard to imagine that pre-war residents would use nuclear bombs just to blow up little settlements. So, what do I think? Well, I wrote up this script this afternoon, and reading back, it did sound awfully negative, ranty, and nitpicky. And that's not how I want it to sound, because I do genuinely think this game could be really good fun and really exciting. I just have quite major concerns with the story of the game. Howard talked about you deciding who the heroes and villains are. It sounds like the story's only going to be very loose. The multiplayer and the lack of a coherent story just isn't what I play Fallout for. I enjoy the solitude of wandering through the wasteland alone, taking in the sights, and feeling like I'm the only person in hundreds of years to explore a dungeon. I prefer quite a well-constructed, coherent narrative, and you might be able to see that that's the kind of mods that I make. A short, coherent narrative of a player just runs through, and it's all put together and constructed like that with a particular vision. And I feel like perhaps there's a lack of vision. We're trying to do two things at once, and I'm not completely convinced it's going to work. However, I do think that it looks like fun. As I said, I've already pre-ordered the Power Arm edition, and I am really looking forward to giving it a try. The setting looks great visually. It looks very exciting. I am excited to get back into a brand new Fallout world. And I think if you can get together a group of friends and set yourself goals and you create your own story, it could be really fun. I don't want to write the game off. I am just highly skeptical, and I think a measured set of expectations are in order for this one. But all my thoughts in this have been negative, and like I said, that's not really what I wanted to do. I don't want to be one of these people that do one of these rant videos or anything like that. I'm excited for the game, and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. And hopefully, I can find a good group of people to play with, and I think that will make the experience really good fun. If I can scrape up some people somewhere, none of my friends are into Fallout. My brother is probably going to get on the Xbox One, so I don't know if there probably won't be cross-system play with. Whereas I can play with him, that might be good fun. So anyway, yeah, that was kind of my thoughts based on what I saw, my very preliminary thoughts. I am looking forward to it. I'm just very, very dubious about the implications of the online elements, because that's not what I play Fallout for. Anyway, this has gone on a little bit too long. I've gone off my written script. So thank you for watching. Hopefully, people give a shit about what I think. If not, that's fine. But yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.